Welcome back to the Intelligent Human Leadership Podcast. So grateful to be with you once again. This week, I'm actually going to do a little story time share about being present. And I hope you guys will enjoy this. I'm going to do a little reflection with you. And I think it's important to take these time when we're busy. There's lots of things going on. And I want to encourage you to sit back for a moment, hopefully just be present, take in the podcast today, um, because that's what I was able to do this past Friday night with my sister, um, and just taking some time out and being present with her. Um, we took in a great concert and a great conversations, and how many of us can be distracted and there's so many things pulling us away, and so um, for those of you who don't know, I have a music background as well. I've been playing music, oh, probably since I was elementary school, junior high. Um, and so I definitely have a love of music. Actually, I have a music minor from Cal Poly Pomona, where I played a variety of instruments from guitar, piano, flute, oboe, trombone, and grateful for the opportunity. And music is another way of being present. How many of you, have really taken in a concert and just soaking it all in? And so a live concert I had, it was just really great. There's an artist that I follow named Mindy Smith. You can go check her out. A wonderful artist. She hadn't been out here in California for some time, and so we took a moment to go there. My sister had not known of her music or background. Followed her for over 20 years, and so I said, well, let's take an opportunity for us, my sister and I, being obviously a little older adults now and are 50 and 40s, but taking time together. And for me, I'm here in Southern California, up in the mountains. So it took me a little while to drive out there, pick up my sister, and drive down into Santa Monica, McCabe's guitar shop. Which, for those of you that are guitar aficionados, is definitely one you should be checking out. Um, but you know how we can be present and take in all the things around us, and so you know there's power in music and connection there. It really is important in how we are taking time in the midst of so many things technology wise, busy schedules, multitasking, right? We just took the moment to come together, a nice car ride there, and an opportunity to come sit down, be present in a night wonderful concert. Smaller, this particular venue is very small, which I appreciate it personally. You get to enjoy the artists, be closer. In fact, there's I'll talk a little bit more at the end here where we actually got to meet Mindy. Um, but there's a lot of things externally to us that can distract us, and to be fully present, um, take in the experience. I even, yes, I took a picture here or there, but really tried to stay off my phone just to be present and taking it in, be there with my sister. Um, and so not only are the challenges there external that are distracting us, right? But there's things that we deal with internally. You know, there's challenges that we face. And I love being able to talk with my sister I've known all my life, and all of her life, where we can talk about things in our lives um, and reflect on that. And one of the things I really liked about Mindy's music, if you ever happen to check out Mindy Smith's music, is there's a really a humility and authenticity in the way that she presents the music and the songs. Sometimes there's sad songs, sometimes there's happy songs, but what I really appreciated about an artist like this is that you can see the presence and the thoughtfulness. A singer songwriter. In this case, she was just her and her guitar. That was the concert. No other musicians there, and so it was really just stripped down, and I think in a good way, really helped you just focus and listen and take in that music. But oftentimes we let fear or anxiety or self-consciousness prevent an authentic connection. And I think oftentimes this has to do with understanding ourselves or understanding other people. That's why I use the framework of the five voices. You guys have heard me talk about it on multiple podcasts, and provide a mechanism for you to kind of dig into that, because those fears, anxieties, those worries can take us out of the present. They can preoccupy our mind and things that we don't can't have much effect on. And why I do this podcast is to help you be that intelligent human leader, connecting the heart and the mind together so that way you can show up, you know, more present, whole, able to fully engage. How many of you seen people distracted and they're taken up by that? One of the things that a fun story here about the vulnerability and authenticity, maybe taking ourselves too seriously, um, was my mom, Susan Plattfoot, um, who got us into music, my sisters and I, all of us. Um, One of the places where we got involved in music was a store called The Music Store, where I grew up in Walnut, and it was a great place to learn, um, perform. And one day, and I can't remember exactly how they came up, but there was kazoos there, and my mom would love fine arts, love music, but a kazoo is a funny sounding instrument, if you will call it that. And when you play a kazoo, and if you're not familiar with a kazoo, it's a little plastic or sometimes metal piece that you just kind of makes a funny sound, a humming sound. And you play it, and you kind of can't take yourself seriously or too seriously when you're playing that. And my mom took that as an opportunity. She actually bought a whole box of kazoos to talk about sharing those with other people. She would hand them out. And my mom dealt with some serious issues, and unfortunately, in 2003, she passed away from breast cancer at the age of 55. I'm 51, so recognizing as I'm getting closer to the age that she passed away, the stresses and the challenges, especially at one point being single mom, raising three children, um, trying to navigate going back to work, all of these things, but recognizing these external challenges, these external things that are facing us with job, money, also internal challenges of, how do I feel about myself, my self-worth? All these things can compound, and it takes us out of the present. It takes us out of being fully there and engaged. And so the kazoo was just a good story and a reminder of that, that, you know, look at that kazoo and remember, you know what? I want to be fully present. I don't need to take myself so seriously. And I'll get back to the kazoo in a moment. So hang back with me. But so there's those external things that are facing us, those internal things, and then there's questions about meaning, true meaning and purpose in life, and those to me go beyond just the external challenges of the internal, but really it's philosophically who we are, what it means to be truly present. I love studying the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius and others, is they wrestle with these questions directly. How do we be present as a leader? How do we be present in relationships and fully, have personal fulfillment? What does that look like for you? Have you identified what that looks like? What's important? For me, being fully present was I spent time. I purchased tickets back in December. I had booked out time, planned to be with my sister, to allow for this space. Right, it was being proactive. I knew, going there and being there with my sister, which thankfully we're not too far away. But even so, here we're both in Southern California. Getting together regularly just isn't a just our lives. We both are raising children and families and business and all these things. So, things again externally can happen to us. We can all get caught up, but being recognizing for me as a person, um, you know, it is loving on my sister, being present there. And for me, seeing this particular artist, Mindy Smith, you know, sharing her own experience and why she's a singer songwriter, where this came from, and really living out life and being honest and authentic about the journey, and recognize that we don't have all the answers, but you know, there's this way of becoming. There's a way of this achieving true presence, and I think For me, what I've learned is it takes stripping away some of these of, oh, I should be doing this or that, or somebody else has something that they think I should be doing, or the way I should be acting. And you have to be clear about who you truly are. And part of the steward business approach, why I created it and why I've studied and done all this work in myself is to help you appreciate and understand that so that you can live in your true purpose. My purpose is bringing people together to accomplish great things, to be literally a literal connector to people. And so for me, I was able to connect my sister, in this case, to Mindy Smith, who I'd followed for years, and she would have never known and never had this experience. And so it was very meaningful for us both to go ahead and have intentionally have this experience. How can you do that every day? It's hard to do every day, but if we can wake up and with intention and recognize what is my purpose, how can I be fully present today? I recorded another episode of the Business Roundtable podcast, which please go listen to when you get a chance. Um, but I spent time and I was really able to be present. That's why I love doing podcasts, especially this podcast, because it has to just be me and you. When I have another podcast with a guest, I have to be fully present and aware. And that's one way that I can live out my purpose. Um, and so when we do this, um, you know, we are creating a lasting impact. We create meaningful interactions, memories through this genuine connection when you're fully present. I really took very thankful, and for those of you that um, follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you can see a photo I posted up there of my sister and I getting to meet Mindy at the end of the concert, and again, I really appreciated her taking time in this case, Mindy, to come and meet, and even her helper Heather, who was helping with sales, and they were all very welcoming and connecting. All the folks that were there, taking the time. Mindy listened. In fact, I mentioned the kazoo earlier. Signed the kazoo. I bought a kazoo there because I had some, surprisingly enough. And I said, I got to buy a kazoo and tell Minnie the story, which I'm so grateful that I was able to share the story with my sister there in this music shop. I mean, there's a confluence of things coming together here. Uh, Being with my sister, being at a music shop, seeing Kazoo, seeing Mindy, who I hadn't seen in concert since 2004. So it's been over 20 years. Crazy. I know I'm older, not old, but older and wiser. But when we reflect on these things and take the opportunity, in this case, this is my reflection on music and being present and having that connection. You can take this and apply this in your leadership role, or where you're at along your journey, and where you're starting to get the external challenges, the distractions that are coming on, right? Or whether it's that's pulling you out of being present, or is it because the emotional turmoil with inside of yourself, you're wrestling with anxiety, possibly depression, you know, or is it even understanding your true purpose about what you're called to be? Because if you're being pulled in different directions of what you think you should be, right? What you think others want you to be, not living in your true authentic self, that's going to pull you out of truly being present and authentic. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity. For Mindy Smith coming out to California, McCabe's guitar shop, hosting it, uh, and my sister coming alongside with me to do this concert. And I hope you enjoy this just little snippet window into my life, into the story of how to be present, how to be fully engaged and taking it all in. It was totally a blessing. We were very, just at a loss of words. Um, and I want to encourage you to just look and evaluate your life. Are you living in a present way? And if you're not, there's no judgment or here. I'm just calling attention to you to look at that and reflect at that and say, you know what can I do differently? And if you're stuck or just want to have a conversation with me, I'm open to that. I would love to hear from you. Share a comment about how you were present. How did you show up? What have you learned to be present? On the same token, it's okay to be, I say, vulnerable or share where the challenges are. We all face, if anybody has a smartphone, distractions and things externally to us. They're always going to be there. Those are the easy ones, kind of to identify. It's a little harder to identify some of the internal ones or to name them. That's why I use a tool like the Stack tool. You guys may have heard me talk about that on past episodes through the Warrior app, to actually name the emotions and challenges, stories. I've talked about that before as well. And and thirdly, to kind of really recognize, where are you living in your true purpose? And here's the thing, if we let those distractions, we let those internal challenges of, emotions override us, we don't get clear on our purpose. We're living inauthentically. We're living a half full life. And that's what I don't want from any of you, to walk through life feeling like I'm half full at best. I'm drained. I want to see you succeed and have a full life in your relationships, whether it be your wife, sister, your children, your coworkers, and it's to spill over, because when we look at this living an authentic and full life, it's not just relationships. That's a big focus of this particular podcast, but it's also, how are we taking care of ourselves physically? What are we doing there? And that honestly materializes in our finances and our career, because we live our purpose out. And so if you're stuck there, or you're just like, you know what, I'm just not entirely clear, David, please, please, I can't tell you enough. Reach out to me. Let's get in the call, or let's look at the resources, and let's get you in the right direction. I do group coaching, I do individual coaching, and I work with businesses every day. That's my aim and my promise to help you. I can't solve all the problems on the podcast, but I can point you in the right direction, and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining me on the Intelligent Human Leadership Podcast again this week. I invite you to come back next week, just have continued conversations to help you be equipped, connecting your heart with your head and being that most intelligent human leader, emotionally, uh, physically, spiritually, all aspects, relationally. You are whole and complete, and in becoming the best version of yourself. Thank you again for being here with me on the Intelligent Human Leadership Podcast. Until the next time, take care, everyone. Thanks for listening in.